The Race Towards the Heavens. Chapter 1. Rude Awakening. Beep, beep, beep. My blue eyes opened as the damn alarm clock rang. Damn it. It's really 5:32 in the fucking morning? Damn, I need to smoke. My shower can wait, but coffee and Lucky Reds can't. The blue covers were thrown off as I slipped into my blue bathrobe and fuzzy slippers. I brushed my teeth and looked at my face in the mirror while shaving my beard and leaving a trim brownish blonde mustache. I felt my face as I put on some blueberry aftershaves. I combed my brown wavy hair to the left. I looked over at my face, and it wasn't complete without my silver horn-rimmed glasses. They were taken out as I wiped them off with a microfiber cloth and fogged them up with my breath. As they were finally clean, without an iota of dust on them, I took them and put them into my bathrobe pocket. My Lucky Reds were grabbed off my nightstand, as well as my gray Zippo. I opened the curtains in my bedroom as I saw the city of Boston in the distance. My town was only 15 miles away, the town of my birth, Newton, Massachusetts. Jets were flying in and out of Logan as the newest Fusion jets had been released by Boeing. Boom! The speed of sound was broken every time a plane took off or landed. My glass patio door was open as I lit up the clove cigarette and my nerves were instantly calmed. Spring was in full swing as there were cardinals, blue jays, and chickadees flying all around in between trees and onto telephone poles. As I smoked the cigarette, I leaned against the railing and let the cool April breeze flow through my hair. Then I felt a familiar presence at my feet. Meow, the raspy voice of my favorite person on earth. Morning, Cupid. I was just having my smoke. Sorry if I delayed your breakfast. I'll add a little bit on for extra as the inconvenience. His green eyes dilated up at me while he slowly blinked. My dearest and longest friend, the calicoed kitty I'd had for nearly 25 years since the age of 10. Meow. He laid down on the patio as I kept inhaling the smoke as the sun finally began to rise above the horizon. The deep and dark blues of night slowly turned to brilliant pinks and oranges with hints of green where the colors mixed. I rolled up my bathrobe sleeve to look at my leather-bound watch. It was 6:15 in the morning, time for the daily dose of news radio. The cigarette was finished as Cupid got up and ran inside as I smiled at his kitten-like energy. My antique 1923 radio was turned on as Walter Cronkite's voice came to life. Good morning, America. This is Walter Cronkite. The date is Tuesday, April 4th, 1964. In the news, China's Prime Minister made the announcement that their space program was making great strides compared to the West. A new bill was passed at Capitol Hill that is reported to have $150 billion being put into NASA, and President Anderson herself said that it was a bipartisan win for the country at large. Join us later for more news. I clicked the radio off as I showered quickly, then got dressed for the day as I walked back into my bedroom. I paired my favorite white button-up shirt with beige slacks and a pair of brown leather wingtips. As I looked through my cabinets for the right jacket to pair it with, it was found, my grandfather's brown leather trench coat. Ta-da! There we are. Thanks, Granddad. Meow. Cupid walked into my bedroom as I was tying my wingtips while kneeling onto the pine floorboards. Be right there. Give me a second. The shoes were finally tied as I walked into my recently renovated kitchen. Cupid's salmon was taken out of the light-proof fridge and put into a little white porcelain bowl from my pine cabinets. His salmon was put onto the floor as I filled his water bowl with fresh water. Enjoy, my friend. I'll be back later. Gotta go do my job. I have a case to solve, and there's big money involved. When the bald man who walked into my office a few days ago. He had handed me an envelope filled with $10K, all in $100 bills. And he refused to give his name, but he did give me a stack of files in a manila folder. My car keys were grabbed as I gave Cupid some scratches under his chin. I opened the door and locked it behind me as I walked towards my cherry red 1962 Ford Mustang. My metal keychain was spun a few times in the air as I walked down towards my car. As I got to the bottom of my stairs, I saw my elderly landlord. Morning, Mr. Robinson. How's Cupid this morning? I lit another cigarette and chuckled. He's still himself as usual. How are you, Gary? Gary waved his bony hand in the air as I walked over to give him a handshake. His attire this morning was a blue silk shirt with brown pants and black loafers, and his hand when I shook it was strong enough to break bone or stone, as usual, of course. and his brown eyes sparkled with the vigor of a man half of his age. His short white hair blew in the breeze slightly. "I'm good, kid. Now mind if I bum to smoke? I realized I left them in my place." Before he finished his sentence, I had a cigarette in my hand. "Not at all, my friend, but I really should get going off to my office. Got a case I really need to work on. See you around, Gary." He waved as I walked over to my Mustang. The door was open, and I hopped onto the black leather seats. The ignition was started, and I gave the engine some gas and neutral to warm it up. Within 12 seconds, it was ready. Gary waved as I backed up and sped off. My own cigarette was lit as the windows were rolled down slightly, and I cruised down the road at 30 miles per hour. My cigarette was thrown out the window as I pulled into my favorite diner, Smokey's Diner. The car was parked, and I got out and walked up to the diner's doors. Ding! I took a seat as I studied the menu, but knew I wanted a cup of coffee and dry rye toast with scrambled eggs. Nancy walked up to me wearing a red, white, and blue dress with her hair that was pulled into a blonde bun. Her blue eyes looked me up and down as she walked over and leaned onto the table. "Morning, Robinson. What'll it be today? The usual, or do you need a few with the menu?" She flashed me her signature smile while chewing gum. "Oh, you know me too well, Nancy. Too well. The usual, please and thank you." She smirked as she took the menu and walked away while writing my order and ripping it off for the chef. I took out my own notebook and pulled out the first piece of paper from the manila folder. The paper was unfolded and had a single sentence on it. "Project Micro. Located to Governor Baker's office and then MIT." Then Nancy appeared at the table with a white mug of steamy and creamy coffee. "The usual for you. Anything else while you wait for the food?" I shook my head as Nancy then walked away, and in the background of my eyesight I swore I saw a person, but then when I looked, there was nobody there. I took out my glasses and a pen from my pocket. I leaned back in the diner booth and started trying to figure out exactly where to start the search. It was at that point that the food was ready. Nancy walked over with my plate as I sipped the coffee. "Here you are. Enjoy." Then she slipped a piece of paper underneath the plate as she put it onto the table. I was about to say something when she mouthed the word "no" to me. I nodded and pulled out a $20 bill. "Keep the change, Nancy." She took the money as I started to eat my food. The piece of paper would have to wait until I was finished.